Streaming from Oklahoma's own digital studio, this is TU Football Update with Jeremie Poplin.
Good afternoon, everyone, as we get set for another University of Tulsa football game coming up this weekend against New Mexico State. First time this Golden Hurricane team under Trey Lamb is going on the road, and the issues that always present themselves for the very first time when you go on the road with a brand new team and a brand new staff. That is one element that Trey Lamb is trying to take care of this week through practice and getting this team prepared for all of the trials and tribulations that come along with road travel. Welcome into the podcast, and for the very first time, we're going to try something new in our preview edition, something that I hope to be able to continue through the rest of the college football season. We did not quite get in one last week, well, mainly because FCS teams very rarely have sideline reporters, but that is not the case with New Mexico State at all. So let's welcome in our guest in our very first Sideline to Sideline edition on the podcast here, and welcome in Kelly Horyczun, who's joining us here. Now, Kelly, KTSM 9, correct, in El Paso, but you're also on board on the ESPN Plus side of things with New Mexico State as a sideline reporter. Is that correct?
That is correct. This is my first year doing dual duties, but game week one, exhilarating. That's what we all do this job for, right? It's just the adrenaline rush. So week two against Tulsa. Can't wait.
How's the juggling of responsibilities going so far through the first week? And it's always one of those things that I think you only get better, obviously, with the course through time, but it is an added responsibility, isn't it, with your everyday job, making sure that you're getting everything that you need to go for the broadcast side.
Yeah, it is quite a bit juggling all duties, like you mentioned, but it's also very exciting being able to capture all sides of the game, being able to talk about it, from filming it, talking to coaches, halftime, post-game. It is quite a lot, but it's just that much more tools in your wheelhouse, I guess you could say.
There is no doubt, no doubt. Tell me a little bit about you. I did see on your X profile you're a Giants fan, so I take it you got to be from New York if you're a Giants fan.
Yes, I am originally from Long Island. I am a Giants fan, which, you know, way back when, 2000s, Eli Manning era, it was great. It was beautiful. You're riding high. And then, of course, we all know how they have done as of late. But loyalty, you got to always carry on and stick by your side. And then went to school at Arizona and moved all around chasing this career. And now I'm here in El Paso.
How long have you been in El Paso now?
I've been here for a year and a half, so this will be my second year covering New Mexico State, but like we said, first year doing sideline for the Aggies.
How did the opportunity come up to do sidelines?
Yeah, so being based here in El Paso, we're about like 45 minutes, but we also have UTEP here, of course. So I was assigned to New Mexico State, and my sports director primarily covers UTEP. So when the opportunity presented itself, since I was more so the one traveling to Las Cruces every so often, this is just an aspect of the game that New Mexico State wanted to add for its football season. And being someone who covers them primarily, it just kind of went hand in hand, and pretty much everything just fell into place for all of this to happen.
How did week one go from your perspective? Obviously, the team did a great job, but in this new position here, I'm always curious how first time out of the box goes.
Satisfy your sweet tooth with a Brahms old-fashioned banana split. Crafted with a delicious banana, split down the middle and filled with not one, but 3 scoops of Brahms premium ice cream flavors. To complete this masterpiece, all your favorite toppings are poured on each scoop to bring it all together in a perfect harmony of flavor. Treat yourself to an old-fashioned banana split at Brahms, where every spoonful leaves you wanting more.
I think for it being the first year back, I believe this is year 2 or 3 that they did not have a sideline reporter for everybody's point of view, from production to play-by-play to just being overall a seamless production. I think it went pretty well. The game didn't quite go, I think, as most of us had hoped or were expecting. Yes, they did walk away with the win, but all in all, in terms of my first outing, everybody's first outing, adding this aspect back into the broadcast crew, I think it went pretty well. And like you mentioned, things will just get easier and better as time goes on, and we'll look to build upon that this week in week 2 against Tulsa.
There's no doubt. For the Tulsa fans that are watching, what do they need to know about this New Mexico State team? I was on an interview earlier today, and I think there's some comparisons between the two programs, actually, and maybe not necessarily from a historical standpoint in terms of those being good comparisons, but both teams clearly have circled this one on top of their opening season FCS opponent as one of those that you don't want to call it a must-win, but in terms of having the type of level of success that you want out of your program, I think both teams look at this as a very winnable game. Tulsa going on the road and, of course, New Mexico State at home.
Yeah, I think for both of these teams, this game this weekend, like you mentioned, a must-win or just a win would do wonders in terms of momentum for the duration of the season. For Tulsa fans looking at a New Mexico State team that maybe they don't know too much about, you look back at last year. Okay, what was this team able to do last year? They went 3-9 under its first-year head coach, Tony Sanchez. But this is a completely different team. Tony enters his second year with the program. A lot of people don't know, but he was actually, NMSU is its alma mater. So he has a deep pride for this program. He really lays it out each and every week in terms of jumps that they've seen from last year. Last year, its QB1 was just a rotating door. There were 5 different guys who saw playing time. Its pass game struggled pretty much each and every week. Most of its offense ran through its backfield with Seth McGowan and Mike Washington, both of those guys who don't return, but its running backs room is going to be its strong suit yet again. Bringing in Dejon Stanley out of Utah, as well as Kadarius Callaway out of Cal Berkeley. But there's also an interesting tie, as you mentioned, to these two programs, even though they've never faced before, is Kadarius Callaway came in after Richardson left for your program. So Richardson was actually at New Mexico State. So you've got to look and say, okay, well, if Richardson left, they're looking probably for a similar player who can play a similar type game and produce a similar numbers. So with that being said, not saying they're completely related, but you've got to look and say Callaway and Richardson are probably going to be 2 similar players that we're going to see on each side of the ball this week.
So I'm a little bit confused by it, and this is, I just met with the coordinators today, so I'm finally being able, everyone's so busy, I don't really get to do as much prep early in the week as I do at the end of the week. Maybe you might be able, though, to give a little insight, because I'm confused on the strength of that team being the running backs room. And it seemed they struggled a bit in running the football last week in their opener. I know they threw for a ton of yards. What was kind of the consistent message coming out from Coach after the running game performance last weekend?
Yeah, it is interesting. On paper, it's definitely their strongest suit. I think it's just because this running backs room is completely brand new. Like I mentioned, McGowan doesn't return, as well as Washington. But both Stanley and Callaway are going to be really strong caliber players, especially when you look at Callaway. He has an interesting background. He went to Alabama straight out of high school. This is a guy who is a 4-star recruit out of Mississippi. He really brings just expertise. You mentioned on paper they look good, but they did struggle in week 1. Talking to head coach Tony Sanchez earlier in the week, he just chalks that up to first week blunders. When he looks back on film, it was minor mistakes where they have to have more of a vertical push. He felt like guys were just turning too much to the inside, therefore not allowing their backs to get plays that resulted in a good amount of yards. So he wants to see a little bit of more of that, as well as a little more physicality out when they're more so looking to produce those run plays specifically for their back. So just minor tweaks. Again, yes, they only produced 78 yards in week 1, but I don't think their run game is something you can count out just yet.
How's this team built? What type of turnover are we talking about? You mentioned the running back room, but in general, and from Tulsa's perspective, we're talking 56 new guys in total coming in from the portal, also the freshman class that's coming in. So it's a lot of new faces. What about it from the New Mexico State standpoint and how this roster was put together? Because, again, similarities. You mentioned how a kid signed with Alabama. Tulsa's got several of these type of players on their roster that things just for one reason or another didn't work out at the P4 level, and they found their way to Tulsa, and they're expected to contribute now. So roster construction, what was the process like that for Coach?
Yeah, I'm going to say they saw a good amount of turnover in every single position. They brought 50 some odd new guys in as well. And I truly think that's not maybe a testament to New Mexico State in terms of just their ability to retain guys. I think we're just talking the new day and age of college football. NIL, the transfer portal, it is something common from every single program at every single level, unfortunately. So this year, New Mexico State is not an exception. They do see a lot of turnover as well. Their quarterback being one of the newcomers. He is a transfer out of Montana, but he brings a veteran game to this New Mexico State team. He was at Montana last year, previously at Fresno State prior to that, and just last year he led the Grizz to the second round of FCS playoffs. He was a major fix to New Mexico State's pass game, something that really struggled last year. So far that is checked off. Yes, he is new, but he was a key reconstruction piece for New Mexico State and its roster. In terms of, I guess, return and stability is going to be its receivers room. You bring back TJ Pride and PJ Johnson III. Johnson collecting the Aggies' lone receiving touchdown last week. So I think that has done wonders for its receiving core in terms of that retention there, as well as you bring in guys. He wasn't suited up last week, but A.J. Williams out of Mary Hardin Baylor. Again, one of those many pickups we're talking about, as well as T.K. King out of Wyoming. Both of those guys not dressed, but we're still waiting to hear if they possibly return for this week. They're still questionable at this point in time. But in terms of reconstruction, yes, new faces, but they have done a phenomenal job of adding depth to each and every position. Its strongest suit is going to be that defensive line. Lights out. I know it was similar for what Tulsa put on last weekend against ACU. So potentially when you look at both of these teams, it could come down to a battle of the defense.
Yeah, that defense came up big for New Mexico State this past weekend, and one of those that you just look at it from a numbers perspective and you're like, yo, okay, got after the quarterback a little bit, able to really kind of impose their will in the week one there. So what stylistically are we looking at here? Is this a physical style of defense? Are they a speedy bunch? What can Tulsa fans expect?
They're going to be a physical bunch, so much so that head coach Tony Sanchez was actually saying they possibly need to turn it down a little bit, that he felt like there were some just needless, messy mistakes here and there. He appreciates their excitement and their passion for this program going out and hitting big and hitting hard. But if they could just refrain that slightly, clean it up slightly. But this is a defense who is not scared to show up and show up big time. I will say one defensive player who is going to be missing this week is going to be linebacker Tyler Martinez. That is going to be a huge hit. He did suffer a broken hand mid-game against Bryant last week. But again, looking at the defensive bunch, that is the most consistent part of its game. So they should be able to do just fine. Tyler expected to come back in 2 weeks, but of course, not in time for this week.
What's the energy level like right now in Las Cruces and kind of within the region for the program in general? And that's been a big talking point here. I've used this point, I feel like 1,000 times now, Kelly, which is before Trey Lamb even coached a game here at TU. I think he brought a level of energy and passion, and there was more juice just around the city and excitement for TU football without even having played one game than since I remember, probably since 2016, if we're just being honest about everything. So knowing that Tony, and that's his alma mater, and how he feels about it ingrained in his DNA, what's the level of excitement coming off of what was clearly a disappointing year in year one, but ultimately for that build in turning the program into an image of what the head coach is?
Yeah, despite, as you mentioned, last season not being the season they all had hoped for, that energy is still surrounding this team. They are fired up for year two under head coach Tony Sanchez, a lot working in its favor. I think the fact that they're opening up 2 straight at home to start the season is exciting the fans, exciting the players to be home at Aggie Memorial Stadium. Tony Sanchez always says that the fans in Conference USA are always the best at home at Aggie Memorial. So that's always something that's going to work in their favor, as well as they have outside factors. They just got a brand new facility. We're talking locker rooms, we're talking swim pools to help them work out, study rooms, all in one facility. It's state of the art. I had the chance to do a walkthrough still when it was bare bones, but you could picture how this really was just going to hype the guys up even further, not to mention just for the season, but they're also looking ahead. It's going to do wonders for its recruitment as well. You're going to be able to walk through with recruits. I think Tony said that they haven't shown recruits the locker room for the past 3 cycles. So this is something that we're talking about. This excitement goes beyond just this season. This program is excited for what's right now, but also what's to come, which again, in turn, is firing up them this season.
Give me a couple of keys, in your opinion, for New Mexico State in this game coming up on Saturday.
I think they're going to have to keep the defense consistent. They're going to have to play another lights out game. This is someone they're playing up in competition in Tulsa, as you mentioned. They're playing its first FBS opponent of the season. They're going to have to see a similar style game out of Logan Fife in the past game. There were a few mistakes that Tony Sanchez felt like if they just clean those up a little bit, we're talking at least 100 more yards in terms of its pass offense. And like we mentioned, its run game. Its run game has got to get up. They have the potential. They have the guys on paper. They have all the momentum they need, but they need to make those fixes ahead of this weekend. Otherwise, that could very well be their downfall against Tulsa.
Any recommendations for anything for the handful of fans that will be making their way down? I assume, like, we're staying in El Paso. I assume most of the fans that are coming in as well have some sort of connection with players, so they'll be staying in El Paso more than likely. But any recommendations on good places to eat for anyone that might be making the trip?
I mean, let me tell you, of course, you cannot go wrong with any kind of Mexican food.
No doubt.
In El Paso. There is a plethora of places where you can't go wrong. Kiki's is going to be a big one. I'm a huge fan of Palomino. Those are 2 of the top places. If maybe a couple days here you're sick of Mexican, Track 1 is going to be phenomenal in terms of wings if you're kind of looking more so for that American type food. But Las Cruces has a lot of great places as well. There's also a ton of sights to see. I know most people coming here are coming here for the New Mexico State game, but while you're in El Paso, of course, always check out the Sun Bowl as well. That is a historic stadium. It's beautiful. Sunken in right below, you got, I wouldn't call them mountains, but you got rocky scenery right at sunset. If anybody has the time to kind of hang out in El Paso and check out what we have here as well, while you're here for the Las Cruces game, definitely check those things out.
All right, now the most important question: how's your quarterback in New York going to handle things this year? How's Dart going to be able to take this team to the hopeful heights that they expect out of him?
I think he looks really promising. I really, really do. And I think that he adds something to the game and to this team, even outside of football. I think that he could be the next franchise player. He could be the next Eli Manning, not to mention he does have ties to the Manning family. I know he trained with them all off season, ahead of the draft, post-draft. Some people say that's why and how he possibly ended up in New York. You know, some pulling strings there, here and there, but hey, I don't mind it. I really like what I see out of the young quarterback in terms of what he can learn under Russell Wilson. I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm too high up on Russ, but I think that whether he's the change this year, I'm not sure, but for the future, I do think he could be the fix. He's a great player who can produce. He brings the energy, as well as Jameis Winston, right? Who hates on Jameis Winston? He's just someone who brings character, for the lack of a better term, to any team that he goes to. A few
years ago, we went to Ole Miss, and we got to see him in person and play. And I don't know, he's got kind of, this sounds so cheesy, but the it factor is kind of a thing with him. And the thing I liked about him, too, is like he was kind of a trash talker. Like, you know, he'd get a hit on the sidelines, and like he'd let you know about it. And I don't mind that. I think that's awesome. And his team seemed to gravitate towards him. I think that ultimately is going to be a good draft pick. I think he's going to surprise some people as well. And listen, as long as they beat the Cowboys on a regular basis, I think we're all good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be one of the keys for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. Kelly, I appreciate your time for jumping on here, giving us a little bit of preview. Wish you nothing but the best. Can't wait to meet you on Saturday as well. Yes. And again, thank you so much for coming on with us.
Absolutely. I will see you here very shortly.
Absolutely, you will. And that will do it for this edition here. live from the digital desk. Now, I want to remind everyone, go to newzone6.com, go to news9.com as well if you're watching in Oklahoma City, and you'll see all of our content that we've helped produce for you and our very own new YouTube page, Oklahoma Zone Sports, where you can find all of our local teams, OU, OSU, and TU, all in one nice, neat, easy, convenient place for you. Until next time from the digital desk, we'll see you, and thank you so much to our wonderful sponsors, Brahms, for helping make this possible.
Thank you for watching this Oklahoma Zone Digital Studios sports presentation. Stay with News on 6, online and on television anytime for the latest news, weather, and sports.